YouTube. And then we'll do the same on Instagram in a minute. Okay. Going live on Instagram. So Beth, when we go live on Instagram, you'll just hit the circle at the top where my head is, and that's my live video. And then it'll pop up a thing, request to join, and you just click yes, request to join. Make sense? And then okay, yeah. It should. Okay, so we're gonna go live now. Hello, it is Natasha Edwina, and we are here for Goddess Vibrations, the spiritual sexual empowerment show. Tonight, we're talking with Beth Liebling. Sexy is an attitude. So Beth will be piping in here any minute, and she is a board certified divorce attorney turned sex, love, and relationship coach, author, podcast, radio show host, and owner of a sexy boutique. So she has a little bit to say about this topic, and I'm really excited to pick her brain. All right. And we're also live on YouTube. So if you'd rather watch there, come on over to YouTube, Natasha Edwina. And link is in bio too for my YouTube page. Okay, Beth, are you
like, wait, is this ready?
So did you click on request to join video, or I might be able to do that.
It didn't say request. It said add this to your story.
Oh no, that was just the, it says I'm live. Oh, there you are. Okay. It just took a little while.
Perfect.
Here you come.
Okay, good. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just realized you did it through Beth Talks Love, and I don't know if we could do it through Darling with Boutique.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's okay.
Because you joined. So you could join. You could rejoin if you go into your other account. Then you could. Oops. Leave this one, and then request to join through your other account. So you just have to log into the other account.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. This is why I can talk a lot about sexy, but
it's the tech stuff. I know.
Not so much techie.
Hey, Kim. Okay. We are just waiting. Oh, there is Beth, Darling Way Boutique. Okay. View request, go live. And then it'll do a split screen here in a minute. Here we are.
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry about that. Hold it.
I'm just going to fix that a little bit. Okay. We're good with lighting now too.
Perfect.
All right. We've already got Kim joining us, and we are going to talk about sexy is an attitude. And so, Beth, I want to share with our viewers your story, because when I first met you, I was really just tickled by your story, because you said you were a divorce attorney and you were tired of seeing relationships break up, and you wanted relationships to thrive and be alive. And I used to be a marriage and family therapist. So I was like, I feel you. I had moved to coaching. You had moved to coaching. Here we are trying to invite more health, more wellness, more passion. And so, and then you opened up a sex shop.
Yes. I like to tell people I think that sex these days is it's really euphemistic for basically erection and orgasm, right? So I like to think that I believe in sexy fun. And my shop is about sexy fun, because, way too many people say, oh yeah, they had sex last week. And I'm like, well, did you enjoy it?
Right, yeah.
Did you have fun? I was like, that's a stupid definition. So throw that out. So sexy fun, something that puts a smile on your face. And that's my shop too. When people walk into Darling Way, they should just feel happy, because typical sex stores, you kind of go in and they're the opposite of sexy, right? They're kind of cold and sterile, and you sort of like, you get quiet, you close up, and I want to let it all loose. It's just, I just wanted people to breathe and settle in. And yes. So.
And be comfortable, no shame, all of that stuff, which sometimes sexiness is shamed because it's attached to porn, and it's a different thing, right? I mean, it can be together, but it's also can be very different. We're talking more about the energy of sexiness rather than this traditional definition. And also, I want to remind you to turn your volume all the way down on your phone. Maybe I'll make sure that mine is as well, because I think I could hear a little bit of an echo, but just double check it. It likes, if you turn it down and then you rejoin, it'll turn the volume up again. So you always have to remember to turn it back down.
Is that better?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Wait. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. I had done it before, so I didn't realize it went back.
Yeah. I have to, I remind everybody because it always happens. So, So where do we start? Where do we start with this topic? And let's just be real and honest with folks that are joining, because a lot of people watch this recorded too. It'll be on my YouTube. You and I were just talking before we got on that it wasn't really that great of a day for us, for either of us. We're feeling kind of low energy and whatnot, and I put on kind of like this therapist type dress I was saying, and then I was like, no, I'm meeting. Here we go.
I'll start taking it off, right? I see there's something about some sexy energy when you just start taking things off, and then when you just start touching yourself. So much joy.
So, but it does, it kind of, even if it, like, we're laughing right now because it's fun, right? And I put on this sparkly top that I don't even remember the last time I've worn it, but I thought Sister Goddess Beth deserves this sparkly top. She doesn't need the therapist dress. So here we are. So that's one thing that I did today too. But it's for you, it's for me as well, so that we can jazz it up a little bit. So what did you do today besides just taking your top off right now and wearing your purple?
Yes. My purple headphones, I say purple really does, it just turns me on. So everything, I do a purple pen, I do a purple pad, I do a purple, so those are the little things I do because every day I need some uppers. But today, so I worked in the shop, and I just went, basically, as I ran out the door this morning, I just threw stuff on. And, but when I go to the shop, like, I get to look around. I basically live, I spend my life surrounded by really beautiful, fun, interesting, joyful things. And that helps. Even when I'm doing the hard work of running a business, I get to think about it. And I'll tell you, I love the idea of thinking about where it comes from, because my journey, I'm 55, and I was married. I got knocked up and married at 21. I got divorced when I was about 44, and for 23 years of my marriage, I had what I call BMS, boring married sex. And
BMS.
It was awful. I thought I was open-minded because I wouldn't judge you. I just judged myself, and I felt so ugly, and I was so unattractive, and I was so, it was just awful. And I got divorced, and I was like, God, I don't want to live like this, right? I want to believe in love, and I want to date, and I want to have interesting, sexy fun, not BMS again. There's more to life. And I didn't know what to do. I literally didn't know what to do. And I looked around to find some place to learn this stuff and to celebrate sexy and not just feel bad for being so fascinated by it, because I'm fascinated by sex.
So you were actually having bored married sex, and you were feeling guilty for dreaming about actually good sex, fun, sexy things.
I would have, but instead I just stopped dreaming. Right?
You turned it off.
I turned it off.
I did that
10 years into my marriage. 10 years into my marriage, we were separated for the first time. I went out with friends. He was with the kids. I got drunk, and I don't really drink. I'm totally hyper. I don't really need alcohol to get out of control. I'm kind of out of control. But I got drunk and I went back and I asked him to spank me, and he freaked out. I freaked out, and we got together for another 12 years and I never asked for anything else. But that's what it took. It took alcohol and being separated for me to get to the point of actually asking for what I knew I wanted. And instead it was like, nope, okay, I don't really want that. Forget about it, move on. And it's terrible. And so really, like, my shop and this, what I do now and stuff, it's my journey because I needed it. I looked around for somebody to teach me how to love well, and there wasn't somebody doing it that in the way that I like, because I think fun is so much a part of it. It's not, to me, it's not just about erection and orgasm and that. It's not just a one-off. It's I think it's actually about love, which is I'm a hopeful romantic. But I say, even if you pay $50 for a blowjob on the street, totally okay by me. But I think everybody, both parties, should be doing that with love, just for those 15 minutes. Like, I love you, you're giving me money and I need money, and I'm doing a service that I'm good at, and you get the benefit. And it's like, in this moment we love, right? And that's, I tell people in my shop, if they come in and I'm not loving on them, they know it. They know if I'm just doing a job. It's not fun.
It's almost like bringing the sacredness into our human interactions, whether it's work or sex or even, whatever. And even casual encounters is the exact opposite, or the example that you use. And so how do we stay in that loving space when you're having, let's say, bored married sex, BMS?
BMS. I think that to get in that space, really, it all starts within, right? It all starts with us, because when we actually aren't good to ourselves, when we don't actually love ourselves, we have really nothing to give. We can pretend to give others, but it's not wholehearted, because our whole heart isn't happy, right? And so even on this day where, like, I've been kind of blah, and I'm just, I'm frantic at work, and I'm solo, and I'm searching for partners and everything, and feeling a little bit like, oh, am I really going to find my person? Like everybody in the world does, right? But there's still the difference between me now and 11 years ago is that really, I really do love myself. Like, it's just, it's there. I can forget it sometimes. I can just be a little casual or careless with it. But when push comes to shove, I can recognize it really is there. And that means that I've got something to give to you, to somebody else, to everybody else. And so that's where I think we have to start. And that people think that love is just about your heart. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit, right? Literally, if we don't love our body, we don't love all of ourselves. Right. And if we don't love our pussies, if we're afraid to look at our pussies, if we're afraid of our wobbly bits, if we're afraid of our scars, if we're afraid of, this or that or whatever, it's not true love. Right. So we have to really start there, and then we work it from.
It's beautiful that you say that too, because in my dissertation research, I was researching spiritual sex and female arousal and these topics, and I realized, awesome. I love it. Well, there were 5 things that kind of led to the most, like, this transcendental sex, or this really amazing sex for women. So because women have been under-researched in the sexuality research, right? Yeah. And one of those things was body confidence. So it's feeling okay about your body, feeling good about your body was a huge predictor of enjoying the sexual experience. So this totally makes sense, because if we remove the orgasm, it's kind of like removing the implants, removing the perfect size 6 or whatever, removing, all of those surface level things. And then focusing what's beneath that is enjoying your body, loving your body. And then what's beneath that is loving yourself, you're saying. So loving all of yourself. So what do you see with your clients and with folks that you've worked with, couples that you worked with? How do you snap them out of that place if they're just in that place of like, oh, look at these thighs, I hate this. I saw a post today about this beautiful woman, and she was like, I just have to come to terms with the fact that I'm overweight. And I looked at her post, and she's like, almost like a self-shaming post. And I looked at it and I was like, oh man, if you're overweight, I didn't realize I was too then. It was really, I mean, it didn't harm me, but I just felt so sad. Like I wanted to give her a hug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I see a lot of clients that just come into the shop. And I mean, even though my shop, it's unusual because people will come and spend like an hour and a half or 2
Mm-hmm.
hours. I mean, it's really a place where they will be, and we will play dress up. So there I get a limited time with them.
Mm-hmm.
My coaching clients, I get a lot more time with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can delve in. But I think even in the course of the time they spend in the shop playing dress up,
Mm-hmm.
I will talk to them about, they'll put something on, and immediately almost every woman will skip over. We'll have this moment of, damn, I look good. And then immediately comes this like self-sabotage. Like, oh, well, not this or this, because somehow we are not comfortable bragging with each other.
Why can't we do that? Why is it uncomfortable for us to actually acknowledge our beauty or our brilliance? Or why do you think that is?
Because we're afraid of standing out. We're afraid that others won't like us.
Being attacked.
We're afraid of being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be disappointed. So if we say something bad about ourselves, then we're not as hurt if somebody else notices that something. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a little bit like the best defense is a good offense.
And preparing yourself for the punch.
yes. And fear. And it's just, and the way that women, I think it's really kind of sad, but if you get a group of women together, the way that we will connect, the way that we will bond is by lowering ourselves. And so
trash talking each other to each other.
Well, but even more than that, because that's like the mean girls, but I'm saying even the nice ones.
But I mean, beating up on ourselves, like beating up on the body, like, oh, these legs, oh, I can't believe this stomach. Oh, I ate too much today, this sort of thing. I know it's awful, right?
Yes, but that's when others will support us or they'll share with us something. And so it becomes don't be threatened by me, right? Don't be threatened. I'm with you. I'm there. I'm not better than you.
I'm not your competition. Yeah. I'm not trying to steal your man. Look at this wobbly stomach.
Right. And just like, okay. So, and that's how then we sort of find comfort. It's kind of like, in the, wolves they'll lay down and expose their throats, right? Well, women, we lay down and we expose our throats to each other, and that by knocking ourselves. And so we have to get better about that, I think. And so part of it is just, I will talk to them about like every day. I think one practice that's so easy is to wake up every day and force yourself to actually look yourself in the mirror and give yourself 3 compliments. Really sincere. You have to mean them. Like I say, no more bullshitting. So you have to find something that you really believe. And for some women, it's so difficult, or some men too. I'll say, even if it's just your eyes, even if you just say, oh, your hair looks, it's shampooed. Your hair looks good today, or something. Or hopefully they can find something about their physical attributes. And otherwise they can also rely on other things. Like you are a really good person today. You've got a big meeting today and you're going to help somebody out. You're going to do this and et cetera. But we try to say these things, but if we can't look ourselves in the mirre, that's
a real test.
Real feat. It really is a big feat. And I say, I have this exterminator named Bob. We had this long conversation, and he told me that after his divorce, he was in such bad shape that he'd only dated himself for 6 months. And he really did. He would date himself. And so he would like look in the mirror and be like, hey, Bob, you look good today. Or, hey, Bob, you did a good job. You deserve some ice cream. I'm going to take you out for a treat and stuff. And I'm telling you that I was at such a low point when Bob and I had this conversation that I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, Beth, you look good. I would have to say, hey, Bob, you look good.
I love that though. That's a great baby step for people that are in that position that they can't do it. Yeah, I love that.
And so now I tell Bob, my clients, there's so many people that are going around going, hey, Bob, you're good. It does. And it forces you to just laugh and to recognize and to, like I said, like when we laugh together, even if together it's just with ourselves.
And with ourselves in the mirror, which is a great quarantine practice, right? You're lonely, go talk to yourself in the mirror.
Right. Tell yourself bad jokes and just crack yourself up. It's a really funny thing. And the other thing is a very, very simple practice is to put your hands just like this. Put your hands like this and look at yourself in the mirror. Because it's really hard to be mean to somebody when you're holding their face. Even yourself, right? And it's so comforting. And it can just be, okay, I do. I love you. You're not perfect, but I love you, And it's like, okay, I got you.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And I tell people, even in business meetings, right? Even if you just have to do one hand, you can still do that. But that's an easy thing to get away with. And literally, like, take the love from your heart through your arms to your face. It centers you and grounds you and warms you in a way that it's so basic. If we learned these things from early on, life would be so much easier, right? To have to wait until I was 40, 50 to learn this is such a waste. So I hope that people kind of get that. And then the third would be like, I like affectionate terms because I'm a lawyer. I'm very literal. I'm a bookworm. I care about words and language. And so I realized, like, penis and vagina and vulva, masturbation, those words do not turn me on. They're so clinical. I can say them, but they don't do anything for me. But when I had a client who told me that his penis is what he talks to his doctor about, but his cock is what he fucks with. That lit me up. It made me blush. It made me grin. I used to laugh and stuff. So just like I do with sexy, and I use those terms. I use spooge for ejaculate because I'm sorry, spooge is so cute. Who could be afraid of spooge? Like, please spooge all over my face, whatever. But so the same thing with my body. So I call them my wobbly bits because that makes me laugh. My wobbly. I say my squishy. My squishy wobbly bits, like they're endearing. It's not.
That's bad. What my son used to say when he was little, because when they're little, they're so innocent and just so truthful. And he's like, Mom, I love your squishy parts. Like, he just wanted to snuggle in. And I thought about it and I thought, oh man, this is like what he loves. Like, women are so intent on trying to get these hard gym bodies or trying to get, lose weight or whatever. But here's this sweet little boy that just loves to snuggle with me as opposed to, he loves to snuggle with his dad too, but loves to snuggle with me because I got squishy parts, and his cousin who has squishy parts, that's like a little pillow for him. And it just reframes that extra body fat that the culture tells us it makes us less desirable. It's just not true.
Yeah. And I think, I'm a huge believer in gender equality and in between gender, whatever the terms, right? Everybody gets to be them. But I think that the problem with somehow in our fight for equality, we tried to make it sameness, right? And that doesn't really work because we are different, and each of us, no matter our gender, has some feminine energy and some masculine energy. And really, the world is better. It's our oyster when we know how to tap into both of those. Whether you identify as a man or you identify as a woman, but when you can tap into both and use them at the right time and go forward, that's the best. But it's the same thing with then body types, that somehow or another we bought into this idea that the masculine body, which is a leaner, more, less squishy, is better. But I don't know. Have you ever seen somebody buy a really scrawny little stuffed animal? Like, that's not fun.
Right.
You want something to hold on to. And but we need to celebrate that they're just different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They're different. They're both worthy.
Yeah. So how long, because you said you're just learning some of this after your marriage and in your 40s. So how long did it take you once you started looking in the mirror and doing and saying nice things to Bob? How long did it take from about then to maybe where you were just in bed, uninhibited, like enjoying yourself with no reservations?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
But I will tell you, so it's been 11 years since I've been out of my marriage. And it has, some ways I'm a slow learner, but I also had 45 years of real misery and all sorts of bad things to unlearn. Because
you have to undo all that first, clear the space.
Yeah, because I say it was the stupidest thing the smart girl ever learned was that if you were smart, you didn't have to be sexy. Right. And in
you had to choose. You can be smart or sexy. Yeah.
Right. Good girl or slut. And the further you get, the more successful as a lawyer I got, the more buttoned up. And I couldn't wear couldn't wear a shirt too low or a skirt too high or heels too high or too much makeup. Bullshit. So unlearning takes a long time. And but so now at least I start from this place. So yeah, within I would say starting my business, right? It's been about 5 years. That was a sign of huge confidence because I'm in Houston, Texas. We're so conservative here. For a nice girl, a smart girl, nice Jewish girl, and a mother of 5 to start talking openly about sexy and fun and vibrators and kinky things. And oh my goodness, that took guts.
Yeah.
A lot of guts on my part. I've lost friends. It's been a huge struggle. It took me a year to find a landlord who would lease to me. I mean,
wow.
Oh, my insurance canceled me. I mean, my bank wouldn't let me open a banking account. I cannot even
that bad.
You.
Wow.
Oh, horrible. My credit card processor canceled us with 5 days notice. The heart of my business. So
Beth, I have to ask you, what do you think they were afraid would happen if you rubbed off on them?
Yeah. Right.
They might have good sex and then they'd have to something would change. Something would have to change.
Right. Everything changes, right? When we change our sexy and we change that inner energy. You're not the same. And that's definitely part of it is that I found that people I knew in my sphere who were not having great sexy, who didn't want to bring it up. Literally, I would have people who would say they didn't want their partners thinking about this stuff. And so it was better just to get rid of me than it was so.
Well, you said something to me earlier about, before we turn the cameras on, about how women after 2 weeks will shut off the desire. So if they go 2 weeks without sex, perhaps they'll just shut it down and kind of put it away in a box, where men will tend to want to just keep pursuing or keep it going. But it feels like once you get to that BMS, that bored married sex place, I mean, I know, because I've worked with a lot of couples too, and long-term couples, that they'll tell me stuff like, oh, we haven't had sex in 5 years. I'm like, whoa. Like, what's going on? I can't even imagine.
25% of couples, 25% of marriages are sexless.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, right? It's so crazy. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
But they, within the kinky context, within the world of BDSM and power play, orgasm denial is a real, a fun, sexy tool game. Men can handle it. They'll still be interested. Women, no, a couple of weeks, that's it. There's no more denial. They're just like, I don't want it. That's fine. Women are very adaptable.
Yeah.
For good or bad.
We're pretty flexible, resilient, but it's
so sad.
Yeah. Well, because, and I don't want anybody that might be watching this to feel judged, because that's not the intention. It's just that there's something much bigger that could be much bigger out there and juicier out there for you. Well,
and so I think that when I have people, if they're in either solo or in relationships where they're really not looking to increase the intimacy with their partner for whatever reason, or not able to at that point. I talk to them about at least, let's talk about orgasm, right? Because to me, orgasm is our pilot light, right? And without orgasm, it's kind of just flat. We just don't have this radiant energy. We don't have that heat to put off. But self-pleasure and self-love, because again, $50 blowjob or 15 minutes by yourself, it should be with love.
Right.
And some people can't get to orgasm, and we can talk about that too, but still the very act of physically loving yourself, of physically pleasuring yourself, that can light us up. And that I do, again, it's not to judge somebody who doesn't, but it's to encourage them that the effects of that physical pleasure are huge. They include fighting infection, 20% better. So I said for COVID, that should have been the first thing every doctor said. Everybody should be orgasming every day. For men, the prostate, it's a huge thing. American Medical Association recommends 3 orgasms a week for men because it's good for prostate health. But for women, let's say orgasm helps every single system in our body. It makes our skin look, we look 10 years younger. It helps us fight infection. It helps moderate our moods. It helps regulate our hormonal cycle. It gives us more energy, helps us sleep better, on and on and on. So it's really eat, sleep, exercise, and orgasm.
Yeah.
So that's what people need to know. And nobody would take offense if you just said, I mean, hell, I'm the queen of sweets, right? I have this silly bag full of like Haribo. Like I have the worst diet. And I can't take offense when people judge me and say, Beth, you would be healthier if you ate better. They're absolutely right. So nobody should take offense when I say you would be healthier if you orgasmed on a regular basis. It's just the science, folks. You could not want to do it. I don't want to eat healthy. So I get that. But there's no shame in that. It's just my decision. And so when we welcome that and recognize the self-love, the physical benefits of self-love and orgasm, it's just huge.
Right.
So,
okay. So I have more questions now. And if you notice, I started like choking and coughing and my eye was watering. I'm like, am I crying because I'm in an orgasm deficit? What's happening? So actually the orgasm is what creates the sexy too. And you don't need a partner for that. You can do that all on your own. So that you're saying like flood the body. So earlier you're saying flood the body with love, that's self-love. And now let's flood the body with oxytocin and endorphins and all of this and the rosy cheek and the youthful look and all of that to then maybe attract happiness, joy in your daily wanderings, wherever you're going, you're spreading joy, right? So,
yeah. And in fact, actually, I'm sorry, there's this book, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yeah.
1937, I think. So he found that people who were having happy, healthy sex, like a bricklayer who was having happy, healthy, regular sex, laid twice as many bricks in a day as a bricklayer who wasn't having sexy.
Yeah, I believe it.
Right? So I'm like, this has effects everywhere we go. We literally are more successful everywhere.
I'm an entrepreneur. I will tell you that also. My business definitely booms when other things are booming, for sure. For sure. So, okay. So that being said, now we're talking about like second chakra stuff and this money, power, sex, and all of this good stuff going on in the pelvis. And there's many ways to literally like stir that up. So I use different workouts and that gets my little hip circles going. But if you are wanting to self-pleasure, and if you're I'll just be really authentic right now. I prefer to have a partner. I really get off on connection, intimacy. Like I'm a therapist. Like I enjoy emotional connection and intellectual connection. So if it's just me, it's like, do you have a schizophrenic talk with yourself or your different parts of yourself? It's different. And you have to sort of rely maybe on fantasy or, know what your turn-ons are. But if you're somebody like me, or perhaps there's other women out there that just don't want to take the time to self-pleasure, what do you recommend? How do you get that orgasm factory turned on?
To go.
Yeah.
Well, so I would say, because I'm with you, I'm all about collaboration. And I always love doing things with a partner or multiples and stuff. So, but I would argue that sometimes, right, we have to be able to take care of things ourselves. If I live in a house and I've got a big yard, I might have to actually freaking mow the lawn, even though I freaking hate it. If I'd really love to have a partner who would do it and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes learning the art of self-pleasuring and self-loving. So instead of it being just, oh, I got to knock one out. I got to rub one out.
Because that feels like just tension release, right? That's just a very basic, just a quick little bump of endorphins instead of actually, like you're talking about, a loving process.
Yes. And so they're both okay. Sometimes we just need to just do it. Sometimes we need to just jump up and down and just get some energy out. Right. But then we also sometimes need to literally just focus on actually loving ourselves and to feel ourselves and to recognize and to notice, oh, wow, suddenly this spot feels good. Okay. Next time I get a partner, right. Or when my partner is back, then this and this. And to have that connection and be able to get ourselves. And you're right, we can still use fantasy, but it's still then we're gifting ourselves that fantasy, that thought, that creativity, and this body. And it can just be, God, this body needs to be touched, just needs to be touched. Oh God,
I'm sure.
And
a lot of people are feeling that now too, I'm sure, with quarantine and just not social and whatnot. And Kim is saying on Instagram, it helps to know what you like and communicate with a partner. Yeah, absolutely. Because then you're locked in. But you know what I was thinking about, Beth, when you were talking is, when you were talking about your clients coming in or your customers coming into the store and you like to have fun with them and, maybe show them some items to try on or whatever. I think knowing myself, I think that would turn me on too. I think just having like another sister goddess, like another woman who is all about not, like elevating you. Like even when you go into Victoria's Secret, they're like, oh, that looks great on you. Can I see? They're always like, and there's a little piece that's like, oh, that feels kind of nice. But they know that they're wanting to sell. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing because I know it's very authentic for you. It's not necessarily in your training manual for yourself, but I could imagine being like I am a single woman, you're a single woman, so I don't have to imagine too hard, but going into the store and just enjoying, like adorning the body and just and enjoying like, trying on something like a little bit scandalous or something that you might not normally wear. And you have permission to do it because you have a partner in crime kind of like egging you on. And that pushing that envelope a little bit just on your own could be foreplay to your own self-pleasuring later. I imagine that would be something that is beautiful that happens in your shop.
Yeah. And I think you're so right. Because I think this idea, people will come in, women, and they'll be like, oh, lingerie, I want to get something he'll like.
Right.
And I'm like, no. Lingerie actually has almost nothing to do with a male partner because it's not about them. It literally is exactly how you feel. It's how you said, how we feel when we put it on. And I say with my clients, we're never looking for just, oh, this is okay. We're looking for when you put it on and oh my God, like you don't want to take it off.
Take it off. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right.
Oh, I bought way too many expensive necklaces and all kinds of things because it didn't want to come off after I put it on. Yes.
That's right. But for people like, again, like for me, I never got to try on frilly stuff. I wasn't allowed to like that stuff. And it felt weird. So before, if I put it on at home, I didn't have the confidence. I would just be like, oh, I felt like I was playing a part. I don't want people to play a part. I mean, sometimes on Halloween you can, or if you're in a theater show, but really I want people to put things on that just brings out this side of them that they may never have recognized before. Yeah. Because, right, we can just like we have masculine, feminine energy. Sometimes we have a powerful, sexy energy. And sometimes we have a very delicate, lacy, peekaboo kind of energy, and anything and everything in between. And that can change. Some of us are consistent. Some of us change day to day or moment by moment. But
well, like you said, women are flexible and resilient. Yes. So we are flexible in all the ways. Yes. Good and tolerating things, and also like trying new things.
Right, right. And so, and you're right, that does help, because then we just start getting in tune with that and start feeling. And then we want to look at ourselves, and then we want to kind of touch, because you're touching the fabric and stuff, but really you're also just kind of touching yourself at the same time. And it just starts, as soon as, how like sometimes when you get an itch in one place, it starts itching all over. Well, that's it. When we start touching ourselves, we want to be touched all over. When somebody starts touching us, we want to be touched all over.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I just got this new lotion that smells really nice, like lemon cream pie kind of thing.
Ooh,
and
yum.
Yeah, and it's really moisturizing. So I like really treated myself to instead of using it just on my hands, because a thick hand cream, I'm like, I'm going to do my whole body. So I got out of the shower and I was just like really rubbing, and I was like, why don't I do this every day? Like, this is really nice. This feels good. And then my skin is now glowing and beautiful. Right. So it's about, I think for women, a lot of the time it's about taking the time, and then what does that have to do with, like, does it have to do with feeling worthy or priorities, or, I wonder what it is for most women when we don't take the time.
Well, and getting used to, and again, failing to appreciate ourselves, because again, you could have just slathered it on, like, again, the goal to put it on, or you actually notice where you're touching yourself, how good it feels simply to be touched, as well as the lotion, right? Ooh, and all of that. And instead we blow through life so much. The same way so many people, when they've been together with a partner for a long time, they can literally stop actually kissing passionately.
Right. Oh yeah. I don't allow that.
Well, that's good, because right. Kissing for so many people is what brings them together. And after so many years, they just overlook it. Right. And that's, so when we just start, again, when we just can turn on that pilot light a little bit, and we just can start looking for pleasure and sensation. And I say that's, the difference between sensuality and sexuality is simply context. Yeah. Senses are just, let's just start feeling. There should be zero shame about feeling. And start there. And then hopefully it can change and go in. So,
yeah. And I think when life is tough, we tend to want to numb our feelings and numb out, but that's not the solution, because then we don't feel the pleasure either. So instead of numbing the pain, what if we amped up the pleasure?
Yeah. Right? Yes.
And then so our senses, instead of dumbing them down, we're heightening them, and then we're getting to experience that bigger concept of all of our senses.
Yeah. And I think we just can't be afraid of the ones that we don't like as much, right? And that's why, like earlier you said, for me to be like that, I'm so free and I just get in bed and it would be all be good. And I'm like, God, that would be awesome. But I will tell you, like, I still have insecurities. I still have struggles. I still get uptight, right? I'm so much better than I was. But the difference is I'm just not afraid. I'm not hiding from those. So I will tell a guy, I was like, I can talk about this sexy stuff all day long. I can help people. I have no shame when it comes to sharing my stories and stuff. But that's me, the professional.
Right.
Me personally, oh my God, I'm so scared. I want you to love me. I'm just like, I'm still that insecure soul inside that's like, oh gosh, is this? And I'll cry and I get nervous, and that's just who I am. And so,
well, and I think that's beautiful though, because you're going into your vulnerability, and I think that's what we need to be comfortable with, to be enjoying ourselves in those moments, because it's a very intimate moment. And so if you're in an intimate moment and you can't be vulnerable, how fun is that going to be for either of you? It's going to be a little awkward. And like you were talking about with the terms, penis, vagina, it's very like clinical. It's very like transactional. It's very like doctor's office. Like,
because we put a wall up, right? Because if we're hiding our vulnerability, we're putting a divider, putting a barricade, putting a filter, something, right? And that's a distance. And so, but I think what I found is that by recognizing that I'm not perfect, that I'm not at all where I am, want to be and stuff, it's like this idea that we're never going to be there. As a lawyer, I would never say, oh yeah, I'm the best lawyer and this is it. I get to stop now, right? It's the practice. We go to continuing education. So I'm doing basically a school of sexy education. And
sexy continuing education. I love that. That sounds like that should be a course.
Yes, it's exactly, that's what I'm working on. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, there might be some therapists and attorneys that might need to take those CEU courses.
Yes, that's exactly. All of them. Yes.
All of them. Yeah.
It's crazy, but
because they are high stress jobs. We'll just say that. That's part of the reason both of us left those professions.
Right. Yeah. Well, and they were sad because they only go so far and they just leave people in still sad shapes. And I think what I love about starting with sexy is that it really is the start to everything good. And I'm sorry, I somehow thought I had plugged in my computer.
Oh, you're fine.
I hadn't. So my computer is like telling me it needs my charger.
Ah, no worries.
But, so forgive me for scooting out of the picture for a second as I dig through.
And I see you do have some lingerie hanging up on the frame.
Yes.
Now that you're out of the picture, is that from? Yeah, because I had said earlier I should have invited you to bring some things from your shop.
Oh yes, I have stuff. I always have stuff. It was funny today. I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook, but I posted like I'm sitting there working at my desk in the shop and I'm eating candy.
Oh, the penis candies?
Yes.
I saw that. It's like only Beth. Only Beth.
I was like, who else just does this casually eating like from this, suck a bag of dicks? I've got lingerie. I've got, everything. It was like,
it's a lot more fun than trial briefs and depositions and discovery and all that, I'm sure.
Yes, so much so. Yeah.
Yes. And that makes all the shaming almost worth it, right?
Oh, I know.
In conservative Texas. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so, and if I could, I don't know what other questions you got, but I know you and I could talk for hours. I think you're amazing and awesome. And we've said since we met, like we have to do some things together. And this is the first thing we're really doing. And it's just, it's wonderful. And I'm very glad. So it's a great first date, if you will.
Yeah, it really is. We've been talking, it's been years. And I have always been really interested in working with you too. I think we were talking about me doing a workshop at your shop for like using sexiness to heal from sexual abuse is what we were going to talk about. Well, let me tell you, that has not gone away, that need in the last 3 years. So that is still something that we can definitely do. And it just, never aligned. And then now with everything shut down, it's making it a little bit more challenging, but I'm certainly absolutely.
And hypnosis too, because I really want to talk. Yeah. Still interested. But one thing I would love to share, just because before we end whatever, so I think one of the things that I help people with the most is that I have broken intimacy down into what I think there are 5 different kinds of intimacy. And I think understanding those is a really great first step for anybody to get closer with themselves and with others. And so if I can, is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think that the first kind of intimacy is physical intimacy. And that I say could be if I'm sitting next to somebody on a bus, total stranger, but I've got physical intimacy with them. Okay. Then there is sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy could just be with my gynecologist who suddenly, they've got their hand in my pussy, my ass, and whatever, right? It's sexual. They're physical intimacy. Then the third one is emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy, I might actually have that with my gynecologist too, right? They might have helped me birth my kids. They might really be kind and caring. Then, they're touching my pussy and they're right next to me. So I've got 3 kinds of intimacy there. But emotional intimacy, I might just have with my female friends. You and I we're having a very emotionally intimate conversation now. It's sexual of nature, but there's not a physical proximity. Okay. But then the 4th one is the romantic, right? And the romantic is what I don't have with my gynecologist.
Right.
Okay. The romantic can be all by myself, though. Romance is defined as sort of an air. It's the ambiance. It's the air of excitement, mystery, and energy. So I can go on a beach at night. For me, listening to the waves crash, looking up at the stars, all by myself. That's so freaking romantic. Oh, it's just gorgeous. It just turns me on, lights me up. And we can have that with a partner too, obviously. All right. So to me, these 4 kinds, I think people recognize, but we don't think so much about where with a partner in a relationship, what we've got and what's missing. Okay. But to me, it's the 5th one then that really sets everything. And the 5th one is the spiritual intimacy. And for me, I think of it, doesn't matter anything about what your beliefs are or what your religion is. It is as basic as knowing that being with this person, the love, the intimacy with this person is good, not just for you, but good for them, good for your family, good for the world. Right. And that's the one. So for example, if people are having an affair, they might have all those other 4 intimacies, but that one, there's almost always, right? If it's an affair, they're doing something, whether for good reason or not, right? But that
out of integrity.
Right. It's a missing. And we know that there's just, it's not quite the whole circle and stuff. And so, but even with ourselves, right? So often we forget to be romantic with ourselves. We forget to be sexual and to love our bodies with ourselves. And we forget that loving ourselves is absolutely essential, not just for us, but for the world. And so we need to really to look at all 5 of those. And then when it comes to partnerships, I think when we can examine those, we can sometimes see some of us were in marriages where we had sex with no emotional intimacy, no romantic intimacy. That's missing.
No spiritual intimacy.
No spiritual intimacy. And the problem is though, so in my case, I think that my husband, we didn't know these kinds of intimacy, and yet he kept wanting more and more sex.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a common problem with men and women. Yeah.
Because it was missing something. And I say it was kind of like, eating sugar instead of protein. You can eat as much sugar as you want. It's not going to solve your body's need for protein.
Right.
And so I think when we can look at those kinds, then we can say, all right, wait a second, just having that sexual intimacy, it's not really fulfilling us, right? Just having emotional intimacy is not going to fulfill the romantic and the sexual part of us. We really, I think pretty much we're all pre-designed to want all of those. Right. And to do. And so, but that can help couples kind of identify and recognize that, wait, just because you're not getting emotional, don't deny the sexual. Don't think that withholding one or giving the other is going to solve. They're each individual. And let's just focus on filling each of those five things. So that's, and then lastly, for some people say, well, when it comes to sexy, right, there are health issues or there's distance issues. And one of my favorite stories is a couple who'd been together for 30 something years, and she was dying of cancer. And she was literally on her deathbed. The husband sleeps in the chair next to her. He wakes up in the morning, starts trying to tiptoe out without waking her. And she calls him over, and he goes over. She's like, come down. And he's leaning over and he's almost in tears because he's really afraid these are going to be her last words. Right. And she says to him, and they're a very religious family. She says to him, you want to fuck?
On her deathbed. I love her.
right? Don't you? He
Oh,
cried, he laughed, and I said, "This is
oh.
how we can have sexual intimacy at any point." And I'm telling you, she passed away within a week.
Oh
But
man.
that's his memory, right? Up until the very end, they had that
Oh.
spark, that connection, and it is
Oh.
truly freaking beautiful. And that's what we should all aspire to, because there's just such beauty in, again, connection and passion and love and humor and everything. Yeah. So
make sure it's all locked in. That is the fulfilling experience. And I love your analogy of the protein, and you can't eat sugar it's like you need to have all the colors of the rainbow on your plate,
yes,
to really enjoy a sensual meal. And for me, I like the candles. I like to do it up. If I'm going to sit down and eat, like, let's do it right, kind of thing. I'm a Taurus though, so that's just that's me.
I love it. I had one of my I had a law school professor who said to me that he's like, I just think sex is natural and we shouldn't have to talk about it.
Oh, I've heard that argument before. Like, what's wrong with you, you pervert, that you actually like to talk about it? Like, it's just part of life. It's just like brushing your hair.
Yeah. And so my response was, and I was like, he's the guy who taught me to think, really taught me to think. I was like, all right, I said, it's kind of like pooping and peeing. I said, those are perfectly natural. It's potty training that's learned that keeps us from walking through shit all the time.
There you go. Those are, what did he say to that? He didn't
Nothing.
he was speechless. I could tell you're a good lawyer.
That's exactly right. And I say, but it's the difference of whether we want sex to simply sustain or we want it to elevate.
Yeah.
And it really is the same thing with food too. I just find it more fun to talk about pooping and peeing, but it's food, right? We could just subsist on whatever. But when we set the table, when we use the spices, when we prepare, when we put it on plates and we use forks and we light and we bring family together and we talk and we prepare and we think and we celebrate, we elevate.
Celebrate and to elevate.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really love that. I have a recurring guest that's on this show, Shafar Graves. He's he calls it sensual energy exchange. So SEX, sensual energy exchange. And he does work with singles, with couples, he has a men's group too, where he's teaching them to be more embodied with their sexual energy. He always has so many amazing gems that he drops on the show, but he thinks that orgasm, that pleasure, the pleasure buildup, and then the release of tension is what can actually heal the planet right now, of all of this, racial tension, all of this political tension, all of this tension. It's like, just let it go. And if we were having more sex, more orgasms, more sensual touch, even if it's putting your lotion on, more talking to Bob in the mirror, or saying, I love you, Natasha, I love you. You're, what did you say? 3 compliments, right? Yeah. 3 compliments. So, doing that every day, it's hard to hate. It's hard to get into an argument. It's hard to, snap at somebody when you're flooding yourself constantly with these endorphins and the self-acceptance. And when people are judging, like right now, I've just noticed so much projection and judgment going on, flying around the last couple of days. And I realized that's judging yourself. Like, you don't judge someone else. And I mean, like, how you treat somebody else is such a reflection of how you're talking to yourself. So people are judging themselves. They're judging others. They're using abusive language to others. They're using that same abusive language to themselves and their minds. So the more we practice this self-compassion, this comfort, this self-love, then it just pours out of us. It's hard to do it the other way, in my opinion.
No, I think you're so right. And quite frankly, even just on a very more personal level, right? If you're arguing with a partner, or even a child or something, right? When you put your hands around their face, the argument just comes down. Like,
Oh, yeah, it's the nervous system connection. So I say, actually, a therapist friend told me this: connection before correction. So
yes.
so with my children, they sit on my lap and then I discipline them. I always want touch, but they know what I'm doing now. So they're like, "What, mom?" Like, "No, I'm not coming over there." So, but really,
I like that.
it's harmonizing your nervous systems. And for me, I work from home more so now. And when my kids aren't here, I'm here alone. And sometimes I'm not very productive. Sometimes I just have a friend come over and tell him not to talk to me and just sit next to me, and we can work together so that our nervous system, like my nervous system, kind of like regulates, it co-regulates with another human being. And then I'm much more productive and get things done.
Yeah.
So that it's important for people to be aware that that's a real thing.
Yeah, I think so. And along those lines too, I'll tell you, like, I think that too often so many of us confuse wanting sexy connection. I say I grew up in a family with zero physical affection. So I thought the only way to get affection was through sex.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore then any affection was sexual, which was not good either.
Mm-hmm.
And now one of the things that I've had to sort out, again, just like that intimacy, is I've had to sort out, am I looking for affection? Am I looking for affirmation? Right? Am I looking for a challenge? Am I looking for an orgasm? Am I looking for romance? Am I looking for a sexual connection? And really be clear about what I want. And so, for example, one of the things during one of my breakups a while ago, I didn't want to just go have random sexual. I was like, no, I want to find, what do I want? I wanted affection. So I got a snuggle buddy, somebody who I just liked. And literally I texted, I was like, okay, do you want to come over? He's got a big masculine body that I really like. Will you come over and watch a movie with me and let me snuggle? And this is not code for sexy. This is honest for affection and touch and the feeling of some masculine energy.
Yeah, I get that. I have a friend that's a cuddle party, like a cuddle party facilitator, or like a cuddle facilitator. She's actually going to be on the show next week. So we're going to talk to her too. But I feel like the last time I did that, I got a little bit, I was like, okay, like I wasn't expected. There's a little bit, this isn't just cuddle. And it wasn't him, it was mutual. And I was like, okay, like let's separate the cuddle. So I think that that's the danger of that happening too.
Yeah. And that's why, so for me, I'm not very good at I don't want to just go up snuggle with somebody I don't know. That to me, again, my boundaries are a little weird, but having somebody that I do know and I like, so that even if those feelings, right, are just biological, if my body just starts, it's still like, oh, okay, this feels good, but nope, this isn't part of it. And it doesn't feel like I can shut it down. I can just recognize and go, yep, that pilot light, it's just, it's dying to get turned up a little bit. I'll let you take care of it tonight.
But I love that. If everybody asked themselves those questions before getting onto Bumble or Tinder or Hinge or whatever else is going on out there these days, that would save a lot of heartbreak. It would save, imagine the honest communication that we'd be able to have. And I've been talking to folks since, this lockdown in March. And it's like, people have been reporting that the quality of their relationships has increased. And I know mine have, my circle got a bit smaller, but it's like really just like high quality folks. And it's beautiful. And it's not like I didn't have to push anybody out. It's just that you're not really socializing as much. So if you're going to, it's like, do I want to be with that person? It's almost like you're asking yourself those questions. What are my needs? Because there's a virus out there, and you're gonna have to wear a mask, and things are gonna be uncomfortable, and all these things that happen, that you want it to be worth your while, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, but divorce rates are skyrocketing.
I heard that.
So
my single friend, she said maybe there'll be some good husbands out on the market soon.
That's optimistic. There you go.
I'm like, there will be some good men probably released soon. Hopefully, things just wasn't the right match. So I thought that was really cute.
Yes.
So there is all the single ladies. There's hope. All the single guys. There's hope. There's always a silver lining. Well, I know we're probably going to be about out of time any minute here. We'll see. It usually gives us a 2-minute warning. but I'm looking at the time. I know we started a bit late, so I know it'll pop up, but I wanted to just thank you for being here and thank you for the laughs. I mean, wow, it was really nice to even just laugh. And that's why I love this show too. It's just even talking about sex, it juices me up every time. Like I feel like I don't even need to be having sex a lot of the time, because it's like when you're feeling it, and it's fun, and it's helpful to people. And sometimes people, like you were talking about the shame, they don't want to, they don't want to bring it up, or they think people are going to think they're a pervert or whatever else. Like one of my friends too, she's always like, well, this is TMI. I'm like, there's no such thing as TMI with me. I'm a therapist. Like it doesn't exist. Like I'm comfortable with every topic. Yeah.
Yeah. I say, I don't know how to make small talk. I only know how to like dive into the real stuff.
Yeah. Just go right in there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just where I live. Like, show me your heart. That's what that's my happy place. It's just a connection.
That's the vulnerability piece. And that's a piece I think that I'd love to leave people with, is just to summarize everything is, be in that vulnerability, be in your senses, feel your sexy, feel your love, overflow it. Don't, be stingy with it. Just be your messy, real, raw, honest, authentic self, because people are going to be delighted by you. And that's whenever I see your Facebook posts, I'm always delighted, Beth, because you're so you. And I'm like, she really just adds happiness to my day. Just, going through Facebook and seeing all the whatever you see on there. And then there's Beth. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you. That just made my day. Totally. Different energy. Thank you. That feels very nice. So
you're very welcome. And I am excited to do some more collaborations with you. But until then, until we do something together, how can people find you if they want some coaching, if they want to visit your shop in Houston, or
they can visit online. So it's darlingway.com. Darling. My last name is Liebling, which actually means darling or loved one in German. So somebody said that was great foreshadowing. So darlingway.com. And my email is Beth@darlingway.com. And so I need some words. So I have a little freebie. If they would send me an email, Beth@darlingway.com, then I will send them back. Just remind me, I'll add you to our newsletter, and I'll send you, I've got sexy celebration games for people to play in plain sight. So anybody, even if you're going to a holiday party, even if it's virtual, or a holiday gathering, it's the holiday season, but so many people get disconnected from the one that they love during this time. So I've got 3 things. You don't need props or anything. It's just the 2 of you. You can have this game and increase intimacy in plain sight of everybody else. So it's kind of fun. And then let's see. Oh, if they'll like or follow Darling Way Boutique on Instagram or Facebook, that would be great. And they can also send me a personal Facebook friend request at Beth Liebling. And I have got a special right now with BOGO bodysuits. BOGO, buy one, get one, 50% off on bodysuits at darlingway.com. They don't even need a promo code. Just buy one, you'll get one half off. They're great for gifts. They're easy to size, small, medium, large, or extra large. And they really are fun and practical. And you can sleep, you can wear them with jeans, you can wear them just with nothing. But they just elevate. They just make you feel a little bit more sexy, powerful, romantic, and turn on.
And that's what we love about the women-owned sex shops and sexy boutiques, because there's that, it has all the 5 elements that you're talking about, right? It's not just the sexual. It's like everybody's been into the store that has a little, games and whatever else, but it's to have that whole experience. So thank you very much for sharing that and your generosity. And I hope that we will be seeing each other soon. Oh, your book. Okay.
Yes. And so I'll just tell people, love and laughter, sexy, meaningful, fun for everyone. And you can find it at darlingway.com or the Kindle version on Amazon. Sorry. I always forget to do that stuff. So I'm trying so hard to be more focused.
I usually do too. So that's why I try to bring it up in the end.
Thank you. Yes, you did great. I appreciate it because I talk about sexy for hours with you and forget to do anything actually practical and tell people where to find me. So but thank you. This is a pleasure. I hope we get to do it again and look forward to anything always with you.
All right.
Lightening up.
Thank you. All right. It was wonderful, Goddess. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.